doing interviews. You'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks, live from Las Vegas. I am here with Jason Dukes, who is an incredible guy. His company is amazing, and I've known of him for years, but I've only met him recently because he's been training our dog, and he is truly the most incredible dog trainer, and his whole story is just amazing, and I'm so excited and honored to have him on. So hi Jason, how are you?
Now I'm blushing, and thank you for the intro.
Of course.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk dogs with you.
Yes, I'm so excited. And like I said, so a lot of people don't know, but I have a lot of connections in the police department here in Las Vegas. And everyone has always talked so highly of you. Everyone's always like, oh, he's the nicest guy. His dogs are amazing. Everyone just always loved you. And Las Vegas has the best canine department, in my personal opinion. So it's just so exciting. You are retired now, and you have your own company. So you just so much things to talk about today. So let's go straight into it. Why don't you talk about your company first?
I retired literally about 2 years ago to the day yesterday.
Oh, really?
That's correct.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I kind of knew, everyone kind of knows how long they're going to do on the department. And as I saw that date approaching, the joke in our house is my wife asked me, my wife Marie says, "What are you going to do when you retire?" And I go, I thought I was going to retire.
Exactly.
And she's like, no, so what are you going to do when you retire? and so that's when I went down the road of starting my own business and becoming a, quote, professional trainer for everyone else outside the department. And it's been an absolute amazing journey because we get in these comfort zones as dog trainers and dog handlers. For 15 and a half years I was working Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherds, and German Shepherds and all the different offshoots on the patrol dog side of things. Yeah. And then we go down to the detection dog side of things, the Springer Spaniels, the Yellow Labs, the Black Labs, so on and so forth. In my new adventure in starting Top Dog Canine, it was kind of one of those things where I'm working with every breed. Yeah. Which kind of opens the door to different opportunities, different dispositions, different personalities, and so it's been a blessing when I started doing that and really learning a lot from folks and their dogs on how to work with people, how to teach people, how to build the relationship between folks and their dogs, and try to get as close as we can with the relationship that we have with our working dogs. When I was a canine handler for Metro.
Yeah, and I just think you are such an incredible trainer because unfortunately we've went through like a whole bunch of different trainers, and so people don't know, we have a Irish Wolfhound who we rescued from a puppy mill. So unfortunately he was just traumatized from the puppy mill, and he never was inside a house before or inside anywhere at all. He didn't have any interaction with humans, so he was just completely traumatized. Even to this day, I don't know if he'll ever really be completely okay. So it was really difficult to train him, and we've had so many dog trainers come, and a lot of them were incredible, but no one even came close to you. And you were just absolutely exceptional. You worked with him so well. He learned so much from you in such a short amount of time. He's learning constantly. You worked with us really well because honestly, I've never had a really giant dog before, and he's huge. You don't know what Irish Wolfhounds are. They are huge, massive dogs, and he's not even full grown yet. I'm more a corgi girl myself, so that's what I deal with. But he has come so out of his shell. He loves you, absolutely loves you, and he's a whole different dog now, and he has gotten so much better. And it's in such a short amount of time. So we are just unbelievably grateful for you. But like I said, there has been no one close. There were really great people that did great training, but no one was anywhere near like you.
Oh, I appreciate that's very kind of you. I love him. He's an absolute big, lovable, sweet. And I remember when I got the phone call because one of the breeds that I've always wanted to work with is the Irish Wolfhound.
Yes, and they're not very common, especially in Vegas. Not very common in Vegas,
no. And it was kind of funny because there was about a month before I met you and met him. I was at a park training with a client, and a woman got out of her car in this giant Irish Wolfhound, and I literally dropped what I was doing. I was mesmerized and just absolutely in awe. And I told my client, I go, I can't wait to meet one and get to train with work with one. And then the phone call came.
That is so funny.
And to be completely transparent, when it comes to dog training, your dog trainer is a very important component, but the one who's actually doing all the work, the one that deserves all the credit in the whole process is you and your family. Because the reality is... I
don't think in our case.
You're the one putting in the time and the reps and accomplishing it. There are, in dog training, we can get really nerdy about verbiage and the science behind it, but at the end of the day, there's no substitute for the repetition that goes into it, the time spent. That's one of the most important components of all of it, and the care that goes along with it. And with dogs, especially with dogs that have been abused or neglected or come from difficult circumstances, a lot of times when we take the time to kind of see what the dogs communicate to us what it takes to get it done. More often than not. A lot of times we get stuck in dog training modes where we are classically trained to do one thing and one thing only, and we just keep pushing that envelope, that one thing. And if we just take a couple seconds to look back and say, well, what is Jasper saying to us? What's going to be the key that gets in the hole that helps him learn and grow and become who he is inside and feel comfortable to do that? That's the ticket to it, more often than not. Particularly when you're working with the set of circumstances that you're working with. But taking the time like you have done, you guys have done a fantastic job. You just need a little help and a little guidance, and that's what most folks need. There's no reason. My mindset with dog training is that I really am teaching the human component. And I take it from the angle of my previous experience with Las Vegas Metro. Because if you were to come to Las Vegas and become a police officer, become a canine handler, from day one we start teaching you the dog psychology, the whys, the hows, the reasons, and what the dog that you're being paired with does and why they do it. And we are, in essence, teaching you to become an independent dog trainer, for lack of a better term. Because in the field, when we're working our dogs and we're going yard to yard, or we're working with our SWAT team, or we're doing sweeps with our detection dogs, problems always come up, issues always come up. And we have to be trained to be able to work through those issues, identify those issues, and then revisit those issues down the road. So either in the moment or after the fact, we have to be capable to be able to do those things. And so when I started my business, I looked at it from how am I going to teach people how to work with their dogs. And I just take what I've learned for over 15 and a half years with Metro and bring that to the table with you and families so that they become, in essence, their own independent dog trainer. I believe that every family should be able to be independent and be able to problem solve and work through things as opposed to having a dog trainer on retention for the rest of their life. That's the bad businessman side of me, as folks would say. But I want you to have that kind of relationship and work through those things.
Well, honestly, the day my dog met you, because he doesn't do well with men, especially. We realize he's not really into males, but he loved you immediately, and I think that just shows what a good person you are too. Because everyone says, and I believe it, I think dogs can really read people, and so I don't know about the psychology behind it or what, but I believe they can read people, and so he loved you immediately, and he started listening to you immediately, and he never did that with anyone else we had. And you were so understanding with him, and you helped us. Like you said, we really did kind of start to understand, because it's complicated, and I'm still confused by a lot of it, but you really helped us understand what it was like and helped us train him. And he is, like I said, I wish I had videos to show, because it's like a completely different dog. And he listens so well, and he behaves now, and it's just excellent. So we were just so unbelievably grateful for it, like I said. But it's such a different approach how you do it, and I think you really do it dog by dog, and you kind of can tell how he was, and you worked with him specifically. And I think it's very different from like videos you see of people training canine dogs and stuff. So I think you are able to work with individual humans that they're working with and the dogs, and you understand what they need, and you're really good at reading that.
Thank you. A lot of it is, and one of some of the questions that I ask quite often is when families get a dog, no matter where they get it from, whether they buy it from a vendor or a breeder or go to the shelter, and I get those phone calls, a lot of folks are new to the dog ownership experience. And I do a couple things that are a little bit unique, and I guess once again the bad businessman side of me is kind of the joke. But you live in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a great place because we have a lot of very talented dog trainers within our community. A lot of folks that have individual skill sets, and so you have a lot of folks to choose from. Now, for my business, Top Dog Canine LLC, I don't advertise in a traditional sense. The only advertisement that I've spent some money on was at our Las Vegas Metro Canine Trials program that comes around once a year.
Which are great. If anyone wants to come, they're the best.
Oh, that's the best competition in the world.
Yes.
But what happens is everything's word of mouth with me. So Instagram, Facebook is where you find a lot of my information and my website. And then people give me a call. And I do something that's kind of unique or different, and you can tell on the phone when you're talking to somebody, they're like, I can't believe you're telling me to call other people. I encourage you to call. Simple Google search, DuckDuckGo, whatever it is, to search Las Vegas dog trainers and interview as many dog trainers as you can.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what you are looking for is what is going to fit for you and your individual needs and your family. So whether you have a puppy or whether you have a dog that you've rescued, sit down and make a list of things that you want to accomplish with your dog. What kinds of activities are you going to be engaging with? Are you going to be out hiking with your dog? Is your dog going to be your cuddling partner watching movies? Is your dog going to be your home protection partner? Whatever it's going to be, try to formulate a list of the things that you want to emphasize or focus on, and how you want to live your life with your dog. Then start making those phone calls and asking people, what their background is, what their experience is. Because believe it or not, there's no national standard per se on being qualified as a dog trainer. You could literally wake up tomorrow and go, I like dogs. I like dogs more than cats, so I'm going to become a dog trainer. And call yourself a dog trainer, go get a business license, and do those things. Which there's nothing wrong with that. If you're passionate about something, go for it. Have at it. But in terms of real world training and experience, those are the things that you have to look at and kind of work through. And also, TikTok, Instagram, all your social media outlets have a lot of great videos, YouTube, a lot of great videos in dog training, but there's something to be said that, and it's challenging for folks to watch those videos and then incorporate that real time in their life.
Absolutely.
And so you may have the knowledge, the will, the time, the dedication, you just need someone there kind of helping you, coach you along. The dogs, generally speaking, are the easy part. Getting a dog to sit, to lay down, to come back to you, do all the behaviors that we want them to do, to socialize a dog is actually relatively easy. It's the human component that's the most challenging.
Yeah.
Getting you to see your dog's world and see how they think, see how they perceive things, and then anticipate those things and satisfy their drives to where they're having a fulfilled, full, happy life. Those are the things that I learned from my previous employer with Las Vegas Metro, because that's how we have to have the relationship when we're working with those dogs. Because those dogs live with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And we spend more time with those dogs than we do with our family members from time to time in some of the most chaotic and stressful environments. And so I try to get you in the space and with the mindset to view the world through your dog's eyes. Now that does not mean that your dog runs the house. It does not mean that your dog is the center of your world and they tell you what to do. It's about having and setting appropriate boundaries, establishing the rules and then being consistent in the enforcement of those rules and incorporating them in your daily life. So they are a blessing. They are a joy to be around. And other people can come to your home and enjoy them as well.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about your background, like you were saying, because I read an article about you in the Review Journal. You wanted to work with dogs like since you were a child, 5 years old, I believe, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy. But I just think you were so determined for it, and you're such a special person. I really believe you were meant to work with dogs and help dogs, and I really think you have, and I think that's why they respond to you so well. So since 5 years old, what made you want to start working with dogs at such a young age?
Well, it's kind of a sad story of a lonely boy on a 10-acre farm in Colorado. So I was born and raised in Colorado. Born. And where I lived, you didn't have a lot of friends. Like, your closest friend was like several miles away, and there weren't a lot of kids in my age group. So we had horses, we had geese, we had hens, and we had dogs. And every now and then we'd go to the store, and you'd come out from the Jones feed store and find a puppy in the bed of your truck. You know, someone would drop off or abandon. So I was always, as I was raised, always brought up around dogs. So that became my natural kind of go-to, and everywhere I went, dogs went. And then we moved to Las Vegas in '85. And went to school out here, still had some dogs, but didn't really have the passion yet. Just knew that they were just kind of part of my life and the animal that I wanted to be around. When I started high school, about my sophomore year in high school, I started to have to think about what I want to do with my life and my career, and how am I going to make a living. And I also grew up in that generation, that time when COPS was really big. DARE programs were really active in the elementary schools. And so I'm going to go back a little bit. My first introduction to law enforcement was my DARE officer. And it was an officer by the name of Greg Kilgore, who worked for Henderson Police Department.
Oh, wow.
And he's retired now, and it was kind of a funny story, and I'll segue to that in a second. But one of the things that was interesting is he'd come into the classroom, and I'd see that uniform, and that was amazing and wonderful. He had a little Batman belt. But the thing that was unique about him is in the mid-'80s, he could draw Bart Simpson. Oh. And the Simpsons were out then, and every kid had like a Bart Simpson shirt on. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was it. Like a police officer who can draw Bart Simpson, I'm there. That's right. And so when I moved on to high school, I found the Explorer program. And that's a program that's sponsored by Las Vegas Metro. Most agencies across the United States have an Explorer program. And that's where kids can get exposed to, it's completely volunteer, but exposed to the law enforcement world. Yeah. It's sponsored by the Boy Scouts of America. And you meet once a week. I didn't know that. Yeah, little fun fact.
I didn't know that.
So I was a Boy Scout, kind of, sort of.
Kind of, yeah.
A Metro Boy Scout.
That's it.
But it was kind of one of those things where you go once a week and you volunteer your time and you learn all the codes we use, the definitions, but it opened the door to ride-alongs. Mm. And an officer by the name of Darren Densley, who was my mentor, and a great, outstanding human being. He's retired too, but he had a significant impact on where I went and how I chose to pursue my career in law enforcement. So I went on my first ride-along with him, and it just, a world that I'd never seen before. And I knew from that point on I wanted to be a police officer. And not only I want to be a police officer, I want to be a police officer for Las Vegas Metro. And so through that process, the Explorer program does competitions. So we got to go up to Reno, Instead Air Force Base, and we're there, and we're competing in topics like building searches, car stops. We're dressed up in uniform, we're pretending we're doing all this law enforcement stuff, and we're graded, and we win trophies. And there was a little demonstration by a Reno canine handler, and looking back on it now, it's kind of funny, because when I was 15, 16 years old, that German Shepherd looked like the biggest, baddest, most ferocious thing in the whole wide world. Now I can remember he had a little gray hair on his paws, and he was about a year out from retirement. Oh. And so he'd been there, done that. And so the handler says, "Hey, who wants to take a bite from my dog?" And I kind of looked over at my buddies, and I was like, "Is he serious?" And I go, "I think so." And I go, "Okay." Like I sheepishly raised my hand. "I'll take a bite. I'm good with that." Put the sleeve on. He says the magical words, and I take that first bite from him. And I fell in love. Because there was nothing like, here I am, and I remember thinking about it, this 85, 90-pound animal is attached to my arm, and it's taking everything I've got as a 15, 16-year-old kid to stay upright, to stay moving, and follow the instructions of the handler and do what you need to do. And I said, afterwards, I said, how do you become a canine handler? And that started down that kind of path and road, and that narrowed my focus. And I knew right away when I graduated from high school that I wanted to find a way to get on the police department. Now my path was a little bit different. They've brought back, Las Vegas Metro's brought back the cadet program, which is a fantastic opportunity for young men and women between the ages of 18 and 21 to get their foot in the door, and we go through a little police academy, 8-week-long police academy, field training, but it's a paid position, and you go and respond to all those non-emergency events where you can take police reports and those kinds of things. That's what I wanted to do. And the first time I took the test, I didn't make it. Broke my heart. So then I was eligible to test again the next time. But before that, I hired on as a janitor for Las Vegas Metro. So I literally cleaned toilets and took out trash and wore a little UPS uniform. But I made a lot of good friends and contacts and people that mentored me through those years. And through that process, when I was a police cadet, where I was on the call, and I remember seeing an officer by the name of Steve Jungi. He's retired too, and he had his dog Preston, and I thought they were the coolest thing in the whole wide world. They showed up on a call and later did a demo for us for our Explorer program, and that right there was it for me. So now we fast forward, I go through the police academy, and what's funny about the police academy is when you go through that process, typically the tax staff asks, who do you want to, what do you want to do with the police department? You can do anything. You can fly a helicopter, you can ride a motorcycle, ride a horse, and majority of folks are like, I want to go to K-9, I want to go to SWAT, I want to do those things. So I started asking the questions and started the process. I graduated the police academy, started working the east side of town, loved the east side of town, met my wife on the east side of town, worked graveyard the majority of that time. And during that process, the first classes I ever took was our decoy program. So when you're a commissioned officer, the K-9 unit puts on a class where you learn how to take bites from the dogs. You learn how to use the equipment properly. You learn how to hide properly for the dogs. And then it's a complete voluntary thing. So you come out on your own time on your days off, and you hook up with the handlers and the officers, and you're incorporated in the training process. A lot of people, it's probably one of the more popular classes to take on the department because everyone wants to be around the dogs.
Right.
Everyone, even if you're scared of dogs, I tell people, take that class. Yeah. It's the most fun you can have, running around and being chased by a dog. But you also learn if you really want to, because a lot of folks are like, I really want to be a part of the canine section, but when they get that first bite or they take a hit when the dog's in muzzle on their sides, they start to realize maybe this isn't for me. Yeah. So there's a natural weeding out process there with that. So then, through that, spending my time decoying, doing those kinds of things, here I am, 4 years on, I'm eligible to test, and I have my opportunity, and one of the canine sergeants pulled me aside one night and told me, hey, you're eligible to test this time, this is going to be great, I go, yeah, I'm really excited. And he gave me some of the best advice that I ever could have ever received. It was Sergeant Todd Fasulo, who's also retired now. But he said, hey, you know what? We really appreciate you spending time with us over the years, but we're looking for officers, because the one thing that's unique about K-9 is we work with everybody. We work with patrol. That's our mainstay. We handle nothing but critical calls for service, foot pursuits, vehicle pursuits. But we also work with the SWAT team. We also work with our major violator section, missing persons, homicide. I mean, you go down the list of all the specialty assignments that we work with. So you really have to have a diverse set of skills. Yeah. I didn't have that. Now, I had sat there and said to myself, I'll make a great canine officer because I've been decoying and doing all those things. But I really didn't have enough of a diverse background. And at the time, that section was going through a change where they wanted officers who had a little bit more experience in other areas. So in that moment, he explained to me, politely, gently, that I didn't have the goods. And it broke my heart, and I was upset and cranky for a little while.
Right.
But if I was truly committed to wanting to become a canine handler and be a part of that section, I had to go get some experience elsewhere. And that took me down the road of becoming, working in a plainclothes unit. They used to call it problem solving unit. Now I think it's called Flex. A great experience working with a great group of officers, and then becoming a detective and working as a detective for several years, spinning off into a federal assignment with the ATF. And then 2005 rolls around, and I've got long hair, a beard, and I don't look like a normal police officer. And I see the announcement come out for canine. I tell my wife or girlfriend at the time, I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna test for canine. And so I went out, took the oral board exam and test, came out number 1, and on my birthday got the phone call, let me know that I was gonna be transferring.
That's awesome.
So from 2005 on, it became this just, well, it's like drinking from a fire hose. Because you think you know what goes into being a canine handler because you spend so much time doing the ride-alongs and getting the experience, but until you actually are holding that leash and conducting the training and doing those things, it's a whole other world. But it's absolutely one of the best jobs that you could ever experience or be a part of.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely fell in love with it. And it's kind of one of those things that even when I talk to retired folks now, one of my friends used to be in the air unit, and we joke around because you work so much with the helicopter and the air unit, they're watching you from above, and you're doing your search, and you get to know the pace and the cadence of how they fly and what they're doing. They know our search patterns. It's working a dog and working in that environment is the ultimate team sport, because it takes everybody who's on that perimeter or on that call working together and communicating to be effective and efficient.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the overview of my career and my time.
Yeah.
In about 2012 is when I started my journey to become a professional canine handler. And it was kind of an interesting journey because my mentor in canine was a officer by the name of Mike Horn. He was the longest continuously running canine handler and trainer within our section. Did over 25 years in our section, and was just a phenomenal dog trainer. Just absolutely 100% one of the best folks. And he had a personality and disposition, and that's really where I kind of honed my skills in learning how to teach folks, along with another officer by the name of Tom Moore. They kind of took me under their wing and said, hey, if you're really serious about this training stuff that you want to do, there's some adjustments you have to make as a handler, because one of the things as a trainer or a dog handler is you have to be able to accept constructive criticism and take it from everyone on your squad and your team. And so they really helped me go down the road of becoming a better dog handler and a better dog trainer, because there's no such thing as perfection in dog training, or I should say when you're a dog handler working on the streets. There's a joke, you're only as good as your last find or your last bad guy or search, because you're constantly in pursuit of perfection and getting there. So you could have an amazing search, an amazing call, and then you review your body cam footage, or another officer points something out that they saw, and you have to kind of go back into that training mindset and brush up a few things with your dog. And so that kind of mentality of that experience in the field, going and working dogs in the environment, in the community in which we live, is the avenue I take with dog training. A lot of folks just want to be able to take their dogs out and go have a normal walk, a normal hike, go to the store, do normal things with their dogs, but they don't know how to quite get there. For us as canine handlers, it's not just theory that we're working off of, because we have to go to that school and allow kids to line up and pet our dogs, and our dogs to be social and engaging. We have to have our dogs be able to work around each other on calls and events, or work around strange, the SWAT team, they look kind of funny when they're all dressed up in all their gear, and we're all dressed up in our gear. They look like giant bite suits. So we have to be able to get the dogs exposed to all those different environments. How does that transition over into, like, your situation? In terms of when we're talking about conditioning dogs in their environment, exposing them to things, I pull all that experience of getting dogs to do that and just transfer it over to you and teach you how to do that. Exposure is one of the greatest things, and making everything warm, amazing, wonderful, fun, and then also being firm about enforcing the rules in terms of what's acceptable behavior and what's not from a dog's perspective. So all of those little experiences over the course of 23 and a half years as a police officer, 15 and a half years in the canine section, and then formally being sent to schools in Utah and California, to where I learned the formal process of training dogs and the science behind it, is what I kind of tried to incorporate into what I do now with everyday families that are just looking to have a good relationship with their dog.
Yeah. No, I think your background really does speak for itself. But when I was growing up and stuff, I always loved the canine dogs. I thought they were so cute, and they're like little police officers. But you don't really think about how much work goes into being a canine handler. I mean, they are, like you said, constantly you're working with them. You bring them home. I never really thought about you bring them home. They're like your dogs and stuff. I mean, they are constantly with you, and you have to be so prepared, and you never know what you guys are going to walk into as police officers and what environments. So you have to be prepared for everything, and our dogs on the police department are just incredible. There's nothing like it when you see them and stuff. It's just amazing what they do. So and you're one of their handler. I mean, it's just really incredible. And if you can train those dogs to do all that stuff and take down a bad guy, everything that you guys possibly could do, like you said, even bomb detection, I mean, everything. I think you can train a family dog, but you're so good with them, and you handle them so well, and the dogs just love you. They really, really do.
And I love them because it's not just a one-way street, because the reality is, I joke when I conference with somebody, I said, send me a picture of your dog, because that becomes your contact photo in my contact list, and people chuckle at that, but I build a relationship with each one of those dogs that I come in contact with, and then it becomes personal. It becomes, I thought the heartbreak would kind of sort of end, and I know this sounds cheesy from the law enforcement side, because I've been there when we've had our dogs shot, stabbed, life or death scenarios and situations that can break your heart. And then I've been through the process of during my time, I worked through 4 patrol dogs, 3 that were certified and actually worked the street and did their jobs, and then 3 detection dogs that were certified during the course of that 15 and a half years. And when my first partner and my second partner, when they had battles with cancer, unexpectedly, and you go through that heartbreaking process. Yeah. And then this last year, my drug dog Maddie, my yellow lab, who'd been on news, been on the cops show, she finally passed after 15 and a half years. But then when I'm taking those experiences and those relationships with veterinary offices, which I do have to, our department vet is hands down, flat out one of they're the best. VCA, Decatur Animal Hospital, in the area of Vegas and Decatur. They have, Dr. Hoyt and Dr. Chin have been caring for our police department officers, for our canine handlers, and sometimes the officers, I joke, I go, I'll go there if I'm sick. They're so good. But they've been caring for our animals and our partners for 25 plus years. Just fantastic care. So when you have those experiences and those relationships, and then you transfer it over to when people need referrals. But the interesting thing is, and I kind of joked about, the heartbreak on this side of things in 2 years working with civilians, but now I'm helping navigate, for lack of a better word, civilian families through the process of when they lose a family member. Yeah. When they have to make decisions where a lot of times you have scenarios where people go get a dog because in their brain they're like, I want this specific breed, the Belgian Malinois, the Dutch Shepherd, any of the Corsos, and then as time goes on and training goes on, you realize it's not necessarily a good pairing. Yeah. For the family, either through their activities and what they like to do, or the dog's disposition and how that dog was bred or raised, or what it's designed to do, and helping them sort through that process, that it's not necessarily you, it's not necessarily your dog, but maybe we can find a good home for your dog to go to, and then find you a better fit. And when I encounter those kinds of scenarios, it goes back to dog selection, because as a police canine handler, you come to Canine tomorrow, we're going to go dog shopping for you. And there's a combination of factors that go in. We go to several major dog vendors across the United States, and these kennels can have anywhere from, on the low end, 10 dogs, all the way to up to 75 dogs on facility and property. And we spend several days sifting through all those dogs, putting them through a battery of tests, And not only am I just looking at the dog and what the dog is capable of and where the dog's drives are in terms of accomplishing the job and what we want to do, but I'm also in the back of my head going, okay, this dog is going to be going to this handler. It's going to go to you. What are some of your personality traits? What is your style of how you kind of do things? And how can we kind of marry those two together?
Yeah.
That's not to say, because with any good organization or canine section, you do have to weed out the handlers. But sometimes you get there and you are working the dogs and it's not as successful as you want that pairing to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the handler, so we have to kind of find you a new home, for lack of a better term, and then find that dog a new partner, or vice versa. But it's from that skill set when I can go into someone's home and go, hey, maybe this isn't the best dog for you or the best pairing for you. Let's see what we can do, and find them and help them select a dog. So it's very similar, and I treat it all in the same form or fashion.
Yeah.
I just try to convey to the family that I do care about them. I do care about their fur baby, and I want them to have the most success. And there's no timelines.
Yeah.
In terms of, you build the dog that you want to build. It's not up to my specifications, and I'm telling you, you will have this kind of dog, and that's how you're going to live your life.
Right.
No, what do you want to accomplish? How do you want to get there? There's a lot of different ways to do it. The other thing that's unique is that I tried to make things as easy as possible as I could for the families. I'm mobile. So I come to you. I train in the environments that you're going to frequent, because that's very important to get the dogs exposed to that kind of stuff. I try to work around your schedule as convenient for you. So it's kind of one of those things that I try to, each client at a time, kind of tailor it to their needs and what their specifications are. And if something's not working for them, we change it.
Yeah.
You know, it's you're in control. You're the mom and dad to the pup, and that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
So.
I have a question. Obviously, like you said, everyone has different preferences, and it depends on the person. What is your favorite dog breed? What's one that you work with best? What's one for you?
So I'm partial to the German Shepherd.
Okay.
And just because growing up, I had German Shepherds.
Yeah.
My first partner boy was a 110-pound German Shepherd from the Czech Republic. And he made me work a lot. And what's funny is a lot of people talk about dog breeds, and there are interesting traits and differences. And then my second partner was a hybrid. He was, on his passport when he came from overseas, he was labeled as a Belgian Malinois, but you would look at him and go, that's just a bright yellow German Shepherd. So he was a cross. He had some German Shepherd in him, which was a combination of best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And then I ended up on the Dutchy side of things, which is the new in vogue high-speed dog. But the German Shepherd's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I can kind of identify with they're more of the thinkers to a degree, and they're more, but they're very physical, and they're affectionate, and they're big, strong, and powerful, and just, I love them. They're just hard to find.
Yeah.
And with anything, dog breeds, I don't breed dogs, I don't vend dogs per se, but one of those things is selection is everything, quality is everything, taking your time with everything. On the average, most police departments are paying anywhere from, on the low end, $8,000 to $9,000 for a detection dog, and on the high end, around $18,000 to $20,000 for a patrol dog.
Wow.
But on the civilian side of that, I've seen $90,000, $150,000 for a dog. So I always tell folks and families, price doesn't always indicate the quality of the dog, so don't get hung up on that. At the same token, don't pass over a dog that's free or $500. Really look and analyze the dog and take the dog case by case.
Yeah.
And try to dig into as much of the background as you can to make an educated decision. Because that's another little pitfall that people fall into, is they look at the selection and look at the price and those kinds of things. But German Shepherds, they're just hard to find good German Shepherds.
Yeah.
And my wife has puppy fever right now, which is always a challenge. And usually I can cure that by bringing the client's puppy home for board and train. Because one of the things too is I tell folks who are looking for a dog who haven't acquired one yet, everyone wants a puppy until they have a puppy. Because over time, it's like anything else, we forget about the accidents, we forget about the chewing, the teething phases, all the, quote, negative behaviors that are normal that the dogs have to go through in a process. And so maybe for you, once you're reminded of those things, maybe our shelters are bursting at the seams.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't see. I think the trend is going to continue that way for a bit longer.
Yeah.
And nothing against. And the movie was entertaining and fun. Dog, with Channing Tatum. My wife made sure we went to see that. Everyone went out and bought Belgian Malinois.
Yeah.
And now the shelters are full of Belgian Malinois, and people are trying to rehome because. So really, honestly, know what it is you're looking for.
Yeah.
But shepherds.
Shepherd. Yeah, I like I said, I'm a corgi girl. So I wasn't expecting a corgi, but
That's
you
royal.
know. But no, I love dogs, and but I think it's so cool that you get to work with so many different dog breeds now, and you're exposed to so many different kinds. But you were able to learn with it. I even I saw on your Facebook page you even had like a golden retriever, I believe. I mean, just everything.
Mixed.
So you work with everything out there.
Everything, and it was funny. It was one of my first clients, a miniature schnauzer. And I have to tell you, after working with big dogs for as long as I have, it's the little dogs that wear me out. Because in the teaching phase and things, and I tell folks, a lot of the behaviors and things we're doing, it's like getting an infant to smile for a picture.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of jazz hands, and one of my clients likes to affectionately call me Richard Simmons of the dog training world, because you're using a lot of animation and voice tones and things, and this little, I fell in love with her. She's a Sophie, a little sweetheart, but man, she made me work. I was exhausted. I told the owner, I said, "This is the hardest I've worked to get a dog to sit, lay down, and all that stuff," and it was just because. That breed, that disposition, that stubbornness, I mean, it all worked out fantastic and wonderful. And it's tongue in cheek, and we were joking around. But each breed presents its own set of challenges in itself, by itself. And then, depending on where that dog and the genetics and all the things that kind of come into play, and the dog's exposure, age, if I get asked a lot, what's the best age to start? I go, you start training the moment you take that dog home.
Yeah.
Some people have a set age where they start doing certain things. That's great. But honestly, you're always training.
Yeah.
And people are like, what do you mean by that? I go, every interaction you have in your home is an opportunity.
Yeah.
You just have to look for it. And once you change folks' mindsets to, oh, I'm going to sit and watch TV tonight. Cool. Why don't you make that productive? Why don't you have your dog go over to their place that you've designated for them to go to? Outside their kennel, or why don't you have them in a sit or a down stay for X amount of time while you're doing that, and have the ability to appropriately reward them for the behavior when you're brushing your teeth, doing things. One of the more challenging things is I have three dogs in my home, but two of them are retired police dogs. I have my retired patrol dog, Arcos, whose real name's Gary. Shout out to Matt Trains Canines. But Gary is all he has known from becoming a police canine is I go into a house, I find something, I bite it. I go into a house, I find it, I bite it. I go into a backyard, I find it, I bite it. And so introducing him into, hey, you're going to watch Dad vacuum for a little while. Hey, you're just going to lay there and do nothing while I make coffee and breakfast and hang out with the kids. That's all a learning process and exposure. And so always looking for those different opportunities. My retired bomb dog, Darko, he's 12 now, hanging in there with a little arthritis and still going with it. He doesn't know he's retired. In his brain, he still thinks he can go do the job, and his nose and his brain can, but his body says no. So he enjoys his afternoons and summers going swimming and hanging out with the other dogs. And I have a female, 17-month-old female Malinois with us. But at the end of the day, you're always looking for those opportunities to train. And the more you consistently do that and make that part of your natural flow and work, and those are all skill sets that I learned from the police department. Because one of the things and examples I use, and one of my favorite things I used to love to do, and now I can talk about it, now I'm retired, but you have a SWAT call out. And everybody from command staff, all the leadership, all the different sections are all in a particular area for a briefing area, and you'd be done with that call and you had a find or a success. And I get to walk by all of those folks with my dog. And whenever a dog walks by, especially a police dog, everyone stops pretty much what they're doing and just like staring. And I'm sitting there walking by, and I'm like, Foos, good Foos, telling my dog to heel. And I'll have him do a few obedience commands in front of everybody, and I try to make it look as seamless and natural as possible. All opportunities to train, all opportunities to kind of show off a little bit. But that's where that mindset comes from, that there's always that option. So as a dog owner, and you're your own dog trainer, once you view the world from that kind of lens, it changes how you interact with your dog. Yeah. And all of these things, dog training is not some formal, rigid robot, we are going to formally do this here now and then forget about it when we get home. It's all a process in building a relationship with your dog and giving your dog a set of behaviors to default to when they don't know what to do or they're stressed. Yeah. You're giving them a safe outlet that's positive, and how to view the world and interact with the world when they don't know what to do. So.
Well, I just think I could talk to you forever. Unfortunately, we are getting close to the end of the show, but I know I want everyone to go. If you have a dog, no matter what age, if you need training, he is the way to go. No matter the breed, age, anything, he is the way to go if you're in Las Vegas. So where can people find you? Do you have social media pages? I know you also said you want to bring up the canine trials too that are coming in March. So anything you want to bring so everyone can find you.
So I have Instagram and Facebook. It's Top Dog Canine LLC. It's got a little outline of a German Shepherd, my favorite breed, and a green background. Instagram, Facebook, and you can contact me through the messaging apps there, or my phone number is 702-498-9575. Text, call, leave a message on any questions you may have. And then also email at Jason Dukes, that's Dukes, at topdogk-9.com. That's a long email address. All different ways to get a hold of me and reach out and have a conversation and kind of help you with what your needs are. And then I have to plug, since I talk so much about the police department.
Yes.
Las
Vegas,
love
the police department.
we love Metro. And I have to kind of preface it with this. I get asked a lot about, what makes Las Vegas Metro Canine so fantastic and wonderful. Besides the leadership, and I have to give a tip of the hat to the leadership of the organization, the training, the equipment, all those things, it's the volume. Those men and women, those handlers working in the streets and doing the job see so much during the normal course of business in the job. So for the public to get access to that and see that, the South Point Hotel and Casino is now the new home for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Canine Sections, offices, kennels, and training facility. And then also now they host the canine trials, which is the longest continuously running canine trial in the United States. Wow. It's an opportunity to see 60 to 70 to 80 different canine teams from all over the world come to compete. It'll be in March, and we'll have you post the dates once I get the specific dates. Yes. But in March, it's free to the public to come. Typically about 2 weeks before the event, you'll see the handlers on various TV networks kind of promoting it. But it's one of the best opportunities for you to be able to see the dogs do what they've been trained to do in a safe environment. You'll see them jumping through things, around things, out of things, biting things, chasing things. It's a great opportunity for the family, and it's a great, free, fun family event. Yes. So I highly recommend it, and you may see me there. So if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, feel free to call or text, and I'm always available for whatever your needs are, canine needs or advice.
That's it. And like I said, just an amazing guy. Truly the best. Absolutely the best, hands down. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, like I said, if you're in Las Vegas and you need a dog trainer, I'm telling you, he's the one to go to. Check out the canine trials. I want to go there so bad. Hopefully I will be there. And thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, never give up, always believe, and you'll achieve. Thank you and God bless.